Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Franchising 360 show brought to you by Francoach. I am Tim Parmeter, and with me as always is Danielle Wright. Every week on the Franchising 360 show, we are going to take a 360-degree look at the franchising industry. We will discuss things like what you need to know to determine if you should own a franchise, if so, how to find the best franchise for you to own, tips to succeed once you are a franchise owner, as well as how to take your existing business and turn it into a franchise. So who the heck are we telling you all of this? Well, Danielle has been in the industry for over 15 years, working on the franchisor side in development, numerous executive roles, and for the last 5 years, she has been consulting brands on strategic and responsible growth. I've been in the industry for 11 years as the founder and CEO of Francoach, which is the premier franchise consulting firm. Our number one goal is to help properly educate people on franchise ownership, really this entire misunderstood industry of franchising. That's what we're trying to do here, and that's what we're going to try to do tonight. What do you think?
I'm excited about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's more excitement. I like
well,
it.
if you wanted me to be loud, there is a difference.
Okay, but we talk about educating people on franchise ownership.
Yes.
Franchise ownership isn't for everyone.
No.
Maybe they don't need to own anything at all. Maybe they should own
No, it's taboo.
I know.
Oh.
Right?
Taboo conversation about maybe you don't need to be a franchise.
Right.
Shocker.
Maybe you don't need to own anything, or maybe you need to start your own business.
Yes.
Let's be honest, our show.
We're gonna get banned from franchising. This is great.
That's okay. So nobody monitors it. It's fine. So we're on Biz TV, which I'm going to guess people that are watching this have an entrepreneurial mindset. Maybe franchise isn't for you and you should start it yourself. So there's some very definite traits about the people and some of the things you might look for.
I feel like this episode, you and I are gonna go back and forth, because didn't we just talk about this? And I'm thinking, oh, this is gonna be fun. Because I don't know if the viewers know, we're on a franchise journey because you lifted the moratorium. So
Well, if we should really back up, we're married and we took 2024 as a self-imposed. We ain't owning any franchises.
It was a hiatus.
Yes, this is a hiatus.
We've owned 4 franchises. I've owned 1 myself, and then we have owned 3 together. We fortunately were able to sell them, so yay. So not a complete loss or that word failure.
Right.
So
I don't see any of them as really being a
No,
failure.
we learned a lot of lessons.
And the hiatus that's a way better word, but
Yes.
was really.
I used my dictionary today.
Trying to
word of the day.
Word of the day. We swiped that one off. Was really Francoach, we're trying to figure out how to grow that, and you're consulting and then starting the TV show. Who knew that was going to be hard work?
Yeah.
Should have looked into that a little bit more before we did it.
But we have a tendency to do that stuff.
We just jump in and go.
Figure it out.
Which maybe what we're going to find out in this episode, that we shouldn't own a franchise and we're better owning our own things.
Starting from scratch.
So we're going to talk about that and on both sides of the equation. But it's Friday, so we need some Friday fun franchise facts. Pretty sure I say those in a different order every single week.
Still relevant. Who's it sponsored by?
Francoach.
Oh.
Another F. So what do you got for us tonight?
I've got a fun one, but maybe not so much fun.
It's supposed to be a fun fact.
But it's kind of tied to, what is the one franchise we talk about a lot? And you're not going to get it right, so I'm asking the question even know that you're not going to.
Oh, see, I was going to say McDonald.
Yay!
Oh.
Good job.
Hey, me, all right.
So, oh, wow, you did the self-clap. We're into some trouble tonight, people. That they open a new restaurant every 14 and a half hours.
Every 14 and a half hours? Aren't there enough of them? How do they know?
Apparently not. No, because Subway, remember, there was another fun fact.
Right.
Subway has way more locations globally than McDonald's does. But don't ask me other details. You asked for one fact. This is the one time I've given you one fact.
14
and a half hours. Yes, a McDonald's opens.
Wow. Okay. It's been less than 4.5 hours since we've been a customer of one of them. So
let's not say we. Put that all on you, bro. That ain't on me.
That was me.
That was you.
That was me. So let's talk about, when we come back.
Man, we gotta take a break.
I know. Somebody thinking about becoming, that was a fact. We gotta all digest that for a couple minutes. Okay. So why might I be better off owning a franchise? Why might I be better off starting something
my own
from
business
scratch?
from scratch. Okay.
Okay.
I got it.
You ponder that.
I will.
You ponder what the heck we're going to talk about when we come back on the Franchising 360 show right after this. Welcome back to the Franchising 360 show. I'm Tim Parmeter with Danielle Wright. Danielle, tonight we're trying to talk a little bit about maybe some of the reasons or traits for why somebody would become a franchise owner, why they might want to start something from scratch. At Francoach, as we talk to our clients, there are times people are like, oh yeah, well, why do I need the franchise for that? I can just do it myself, which is possible.
Yes.
But as you mentioned before break, the hiatus, which is our new word for this, of owning franchises has been lifted for a few months now, so we're probably a little bit behind. But we're kind of at a very beginning stages of maybe thinking about something ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And so one of the things that just came up the other day was like, wait, we did the same thing. Well, why can't we just do this ourselves?
Right, because we're looking at something that when you start picking apart the business model, and not picking apart in a negative way, like you're just piecing it together, like why is the investment so high? Anything that your clients would look at, anyone looking at a franchise, I've had 1,000 times over, why is the range so high?
Right.
Like what's the difference? So we started doing the same thing in our journey, and it kind of sparked us saying, hey, we should talk to our guests here about like the Franchising 360 show. And we're seriously considering doing it ourselves, because when you break it apart, you really probably could. And for a little bit less than what the franchises, and please franchising, don't tell us to like pound pavement. But the reality is sometimes it doesn't make sense, right? But maybe one would say because we had 4 franchises and we no longer have 4 franchises, maybe we should franchise.
But we also have businesses of our own that we have started, and I think a lot of times it's that creative gene of like I want to create something from scratch, knowing that there's going to be speed bumps along the way, more so than with the franchise. So I think, and I can't speak for you, but I know for me, the times I've gone through the process of looking at a franchise as a candidate, I'm a horrible candidate at that.
Why?
Oh, because I get negative. I get
Shocker.
I get in the weeds.
Shocker.
Like who knew? Those traits never come out in
never
any
at
other
all.
part of my life.
Negativity, please.
No. But also
you're a ray of sunshine.
Also the fact that I get that a lot. I like to create things from scratch.
Okay.
So, which we can probably blame on my childhood of, just me being left to my own devices to
here we
figure
go.
everything out.
There we go.
So,
welcome to the Franchising 360 show with Tim Parmeter.
So, but there are people out there. There are certain kind of characteristics where starting something from scratch is really the right thing.
Right. Well, and I had a friend of mine that does what you do, and she had a couple of friends that owned, let's just say, some health, wellness, and beauty franchise business. And their big piece was, hey, I want to get this to where I can franchise it. And she always challenged them, but why?
Right.
Like, why? Like, why can't you just open 3 or 5 locations here in the metro area, do really well? And she challenged them in that perspective, just so that you could open yourself up to, hey, I can make money. But if and I read an article recently, like if your goal is to scale, and to scale quickly and expansively, you do that through franchising.
Right.
If you're only going to want to have like this much in revenue and this much profitability, you might be better not being a franchise, and you built it from scratch and you can control a lot of those things. So this goes back to what you say a lot, is control. Control can come in a lot of different fashions. Doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have a franchise for that either.
Correct, right? Or if you have the franchise, you are a franchise owner, it doesn't mean you don't have any control. We talked last week about the marketing side of things. You have a lot of, and that really, it's kind of our journey going through this has sparked the last couple weeks really, and probably next week as well. But understanding, well, what do you really
Yeah,
want
let's break it
out
down.
of this, right?
Like, what is the value of the franchise to us, right, from our research? What is it that we feel like we can do, and can they match that? Because I think a lot of what we're looking at from a franchise perspective are those micro emerging brands that have less than 20 units open across the country, or maybe less than 50, none in our backyard, and they're just starting up, and that's great for some people, but it still leaves a window of, do they know what they're doing? And maybe we know too much. So there's a lot of conversation we can have in and around that.
Right. And, but then also understanding too, the flip side is, because we've been in franchising so long, we know the overall success rates. We know that there are things that, even as much as we've been in this industry, even a brand new franchise, they probably know more about that particular brand than we do as well.
And let's also remember, if you're going to start something from scratch, doesn't mean you can't convert it to a franchise. We haven't talked about that, and that's a lot of how franchises grow is going out to mom and pop organizations and have them rebrand. And that's a whole another episode in itself to talk about rebranding.
And I think I think to me, the bottom line is, if you're going to do something on your own versus a franchise, you really are that person that wants to create everything from scratch, figure everything out. You understand how challenging it's going to be.
Not just from that perspective, you're literally, we'll talk about some things that are bubbling in my head, I'm sure, on the next segment, but just even the name, we can think through all of the things, and the name is the hardest.
It
seems so simple.
Right. Oh, I got to come up with a name.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, what's it going to be?
I don't know.
Think through what you would name your franchise. During this commercial break, when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the ways the franchise can help you as possibly an alternative for you on the Franchising 360 show. Welcome back to the Franchising 360 show. That is Danielle Wright. I am Tim Parmeter, and we are talking about, should I own a franchise? Should I start it myself? I guess there is the possibility of doing neither of those two things.
Yeah.
But we were talking about, there's so many challenges with starting something from scratch.
Yes.
And the crazy hard one that people don't ever even think about. They go to all the other, I got to find a location and blah, 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 all this stuff. What are we going to name this sucker?
Because there's competition, and there's great names, there's funny names. It's like we were talking on multiple episodes back in the day when you were AA Plumbing, because you were at the top of now that doesn't really apply. How do you make it catchy, marketable, something that people are going to remember? It's very difficult to do the name.
Yes. And you and I have both had startups where we had to figure out the name.
Oh yeah.
Right. And figure out okay, well, is that name allowed? Can I have that name, right? And for us, we had somebody trying to use Francoach. Well, fortunately, we had registered and have it trademarked and all of those things.
And that's a whole another level of stuff, right?
Then you got to get the logo and all of the things before you ever get to the fun stuff of, ooh, let's go find.
And that's the benefit of the franchise, right? Is because they've already done all of that. They've got the domain, they've got all of the things that matter in this digital world. But again, doesn't mean that's the right place for you. I've represented a lot of brands, and I'm I could do this on my own. And every time the answer is
yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. And it's again understanding yourself of, do I want to create everything else? I think a lot of times for us, when people are saying that, maybe they just haven't gotten far enough to see the value in a particular franchise system, and we've talked about numerous times, but there's tons of support. You're still getting the control over running your business, but all of those little kind of minutia areas are basically already thought out from a franchise standpoint.
And you forget that they cost money.
Yeah. Right.
The reality is they equate the time, energy, effort, and all of the things that they have already built up to this stage.
Right.
Here's what your franchise fee gets you. Out the door, here you are.
Right.
This is what your continuing royalty gets you, about being a part of a brand, so that if there's new technology or new updates or Like the dreaded, hey, we gotta switch from Microsoft 365 to Google. Don't even get anybody started on that. Like there's the camps for both. I understand. Right. So that's something that kind of gets figured out for you, or if there is a change that's going to apply there. If you are an independent owner, you're starting this from scratch. Even my son brought this up when we were talking about like, hey, this is what we're talking about doing. He's like, I'll work there. And then him and I were going back and forth about, well, Mom, if you do this on your own, like without the franchise, he's like, I can go ahead and create a list of like opening and closing things. And I'm like, oh yeah.
His little work at the restaurant brain already has the opening and closing checklist.
What is the opening checklist? What's the closing checklist? How do we clean things? How do we prepare things?
How do we know we're not forgetting anything?
Right.
How do we know it's
how
the
do we
right
know
way?
that we're not going to get shut down? Like there are just things as an independent owner that I know we don't think through. I didn't even think through that, and I'm just all giddy about what we're talking about.
Right.
But some of those things will still apply even if you buy a franchise, because I think the key is what's part of the development are they in? Are they in that micro emerging space? Are they in the emerging space? Are they a solid brand? Are they at the far end of this,
right,
that there is no wiggle room on anything?
Right.
Like it's my way or no way.
Your fun fact of McDonald's, not a lot of wiggle room there. Right?
That's why they're opening a restaurant every 14 and a half hours.
You're not figuring out the opening and closing checklist.
All set up
it
for
is
you.
with that. And I think it goes back to the kind of the people and the support, right? If you are starting something from scratch, and you and I have both done this, you are on your own.
Yep, an island.
There's nobody else.
Yep.
And we've talked about this from our own personal life. Our friends and family outside of franchising haven't the foggiest idea what we do.
Nope.
Right? So there's nobody we can
Or even our affinity for it. Like when I tell them we're looking at a franchise, they're going to be like, what?
Oh yeah.
Why? Didn't
lost.
you do that already?
Right. We'll be totally lost on that.
Punishment.
Whereas with the franchise, we talked last week about marketing. You're going to have a whole marketing team, or at least a person in a newer brand that's going to help you with that. But you also have the other franchise owners. You go out on your own, and again, it's not a bad thing, but you just have to understand.
Just know that that's what and some people want that, right?
Exactly.
Like I want the flexibility, the freedom, all ties to control, the flexibility and freedom to do what I want with my business when I want to do it.
Yep.
Like I want to be shut down for a holiday. Guess what? I can be shut down for a holiday. If I want to go out, and who knew, but in franchises, they kind of tell you when you can be open and when you can be closed.
Right.
You can't just randomly close for a day because I just don't feel like going.
Right.
So there are just things to think about from a bigger that we are going through on this journey. Like, can we do this ourselves?
Yeah.
Like, can we cut the cost, and is it worth the cost that we would be cutting?
Correct. And we don't actually know for sure if we would be cutting costs. It could get, there's the complete unknown versus a plan of some sort that you're embarking on with this. And so
that's why choosing the right one for you is an important thing there, Francoach.
It is. And where might they go to figure that out?
I just said
Francoach. So your friendly neighborhood franchise consultants to do this. So there's not a right or wrong of this, but it's again, I think the beauty of all of this from an entrepreneur perspective and looking at franchising, you get to be selfish. It's whatever, you really have to kind of understand what exactly is best for you. And then maybe it's starting something from scratch.
Right.
Well, then call us in a few years and we'll help you turn that into a franchise.
Maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Maybe, but you do.
We may just tell you it's okay to be where you are.
And that's okay too. So want to kind of come back after the break with one last thing on should you start your own? Should you look at a franchise? We're going to do that next here on the Franchising 360 show. Welcome back to the Franchising 360 show. I am Tim Parmeter, and with me, as always, is Danielle Wright. Danielle, we are talking tonight about the opportunities and kind of the differences between going with a franchise, doing something completely as a startup. You and I have done both with this, and continue to do one of them and explore the other one. nothing wrong with doing a startup, but there's pretty much, I think the point we always want to remind people from a franchise standpoint, there's always support, there's always a plan, there's always kind of like the phone a friend.
Most of the time there's support. Yes, there is a plan.
How detailed it is.
Totally, Again, that's why you vet out the franchises. There could be a lot of the same ones and they all look very different.
Yes, and it's funny because we talk to people at Francoach about that all the time. It's like you can have two franchises that look the same, do the exact same thing from a consumer
Sniff
standpoint.
test, they smell the same.
And behind the scenes, they are just night and day different from one another.
Right.
Right. And so again, this is your chance, looking at this is your chance to be selfish without getting in trouble. You really have to understand who you are as a person, personally and professionally, to know how much control. You're not doing this if you don't want more control, more of your life, but do I want blank slate, everything all on me and hope it works? It won't. So then being able to figure that out along the way, or do you want a proven plan of system of whatever depth, I guess,
right.
and support? Really, it's there's no wrong answer. It's just figuring out which is best for each person.
Yeah, and I think because we're going through this right now, I don't think we've ever questioned doing something on our own before.
Yeah, I think this is the
This is the first time we're looking at a franchise and we're actually having
do we need that?
Pretty strong conversations just based on our background, our experience, the business ownership piece. I was in commercial real estate for a long period of time. So a lot of the things that would scare a lot of other people aren't necessarily like building any fear in me.
Right.
I think a lot of people would also say, like my stepdad who owns his own business, he would not convert to a franchise because it's been his business for so long that I don't want to pay a royalty. I don't want to pay this. I don't want to pay that. I don't think we're having that struggle per se. It's just more of from I would tell anyone that if they're going to do the assessment, like make sure you're comparing apples to apples, right? Hey, I'm looking at these. These are all the things that align. How is it that I feel like what am I going to be missing? And ask the questions. Like I think we end every segment here, like it's okay to ask the questions.
Yeah, and I think
don't be questioning, but seek to understand.
Correct, right? And so we talked about one of the things from a franchisee standpoint is having the support in other franchise owners. We forget the franchise owner sometimes. I think the other thing is the buying power, right? A lot of times you can get things as part of a franchise system less than you might somewhere else. So you do have to kind of factor that in. You can think, and we're going through it, hey, maybe we can do this a little bit cheaper. We could be dead wrong. And it could actually, it is the complete unknown. And so again, more than anything, you got to have to kind of have that your word awareness of what you want, what you want.
I call it an 80-20. Like you're never going to get 100% of the information of the franchise. There is going to be that 20% that you're never going to fill that bucket with whatever they have to say.
Right.
So that totally is on you. Now, if you feel it's a 50-50 when you're looking at that franchise, you got to assess where that extra 30 is coming from.
Yeah.
So
correct. And if you're doing something from scratch, it's nowhere near 80-20, right? If anything, it's probably flipped because the old you don't know what you don't know.
Well, and there are plenty of vendors that offer all the things that you need. Your phone will blow up because I've done this before a couple of times. You'll get a lot of people reaching out to you like, hey, I'm going to sell you this best software or this, that, and the other. Come to find out they do all the same thing.
Right.
And they just all got your number in some form or fashion. And so now you have to weed through some of those pieces. And that was frustrating to me when I was trying to start one of my businesses on my own, is like, oh.
And with the franchise is already kind of
it's already
through
set,
that,
you got to choose it.
So just really understand this is going to be all about you as an individual.
Yep.
And if you are interested maybe in learning more about franchise ownership to determine if this is the path for you, our team at Francoach, we are here to help you. There's never any fee for our service to do that, francoach.net. You want to keep learning more about franchising, go to our YouTube channel. You can see past episodes of our show, bonus footage. The Franchising 101 podcast is there. There's a bunch of other stuff as well. And if you like to read, might I recommend a book called Becoming a Franchise Owner that you can find on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Message me and I'll send you a free one. So until next week here on the Franchising 360 show, that is Danielle Wright.
It's me.
I am Tim Parmeter. Have a great weekend and we'll see you next Friday.